before working with you, I never thought ever that I would have more than, a couple hundred followers. And here I am making my way to 40K. And never in 100 years did I think that I was actually going to be able to make a dollar doing something that I enjoyed online and
Mhm.
have the ability to, think about, a few years down the line that I could actually physically leave the bedside and do this full time.
Cool. So today we have friend and a client, Nico, with us. It's actually crazy how you joined Launch Socials, which is it's just super funny. I don't know if you want to tell that story. But Nico's been with us for over a year now, and really started to crush his personal brand on Instagram. So I'll let him intro himself, and then we can jump into some of the other stuff.
Yeah. So basically, what happened is, at this point, probably a year and a half ago, um, I was with a girl who knew Nick, and I was complaining about some shit one day about how I, wanted to live a life where I could just be on a beach, eat some steak, hit the gym, and nothing else. Um, and she was like, sounds a lot like my friend Nick. So I kind of started following him, looking into some stuff. And then I think you had dropped like a lead mag one day, and I just got to reading it and stuff like that. And it got me thinking as to like what I wanted to do in life and kind of like where I wanted to go. And honestly, like, so I'm a nurse. I went to nursing school and everything like that. And I was pretty disappointed when I graduated with kind of like how that was working out because, for busting my ass for 4 years in school and coming out and making, less than 70K, it wasn't really worth it to me. So I was kind of looking for, something else that I could do on the side that, I had a little bit more, something I could have a little bit more fun with, something that could also make me a little bit more money. So I ended up landing on, I'm a nurse. I love going to the gym. So, I'm going to make it, my thing to help other healthcare workers and other nurses kind of in healthcare around the country just become healthier, become better. Because at the end of the day, we're on the front lines. We live unbelievable lives and work ridiculous schedules. So, no one's really out there, doing stuff for us. So we got to do it for ourselves.
And one note that girl I went to high school with, I just thought that was funny. Like worlds kind of like colliding to a degree. Um, and you happen to be from the same place that I'm from,
Yeah.
they're the same town. It's crazy. Um, cool. And so when you were trying to start this, was it my stuff that kind of like sparked your interest? Really? Like I know you told that story, and then did you try it on your own first, or did you just come to me
So,
and want to start?
so you were honestly like a little later on. I'd been following you for a while and kind of looking into your stuff. So you got my mind going because I had to have like the biggest mindset change when I first started
Yep.
doing this kind of stuff because I was always so, school, school, school. You got to follow the rules. You got to do X, Y, and Z before you can do all this other stuff. And, online money isn't the way to go about life. And, it's not real and all this other stuff. So I started looking into a few different things. I've been watching like a bunch of YouTube videos. So I got into like a little bit of stock trading like very early on. And then I was getting into a little bit of like Amazon FBA and looking into
Yeah.
that and doing all of that. And I was like, one, I'm not passionate about any of this stuff. And two, like at the end of the day, is this really gonna, make the changes for my life that I want to? And then I think that's when you kind of drop the document about, build a personal brand. This is where, everything's moving. It's a great idea for, you know, certain people. And I think immediately I like booked a call. Let me hop on. Let me see what they said. And I talked with Noah. And I just remember like telling him, I'm like, yo, I'm a nurse. I want to go like the fitness coach route. And he was like, damn. He was like, that's an idea. I'm like, all right, let's run with it, dude. So
And I want to talk a little bit about like what's been able to make you successful before we jump into maybe like some of the things to overcome. So like, by the way, before I go there, did you had the nurse fitness idea? Did you start putting that out like and like start that brand at all?
I think I think I had been posting maybe for like 3 weeks before I scheduled that call with you.
And what made you like? Were you like, damn, this is harder than I thought, type of thing, or what?
Absolutely, 100%. 100. I didn't have like a respect for people who like content creators and people who worked online until I tried to do it because you don't understand. just the way that everything works immediately off the bat.
There's a lot of moving parts. There's like 4 or
Right.
5 different
It
things.
was so, and, like, social media was so foreign to me because my head was shoved into textbooks so far for 4 years in school that, like, I'd missed so much stuff.
Yeah.
So, like, it was a completely different ballgame for me.
And so one thing that I think is just important to mention that made you successful, or like one of the reasons that you're able to actually utilize the system, is like on the personal brand side of things, you basically have to be an expert at something.
Yeah.
And if you're not an expert at something, you have to be documenting it, whatever. But like in your case, you had real world experience. You were a nurse that had the fitness route. Can you speak to that maybe a little bit of like what made you an expert and why you felt confident in posting, and why maybe when it wasn't working, it was still like an unwavering confidence that you always had?
So immediately, I'm kind of one of those people where, when I start something, I'm not gonna stop it. When I put my mind to something, I'm gonna do it. So immediately off the bat, I was posting to I probably had 20, 30 followers at that point, but I knew I had to keep posting. But at that point, it was probably just a few, maybe a week before I started working with you. And then, you drilled into my head, it's a daily game, it's quantity. If you put it out every single day, eventually you're going to hit. And then once you hit, you run with it. So honest to God, I mean, the first probably 6 months, I was posting to less than 1,000 people.
Yep.
But it was just like, it was the encouragement on your guys' side saying, like, I know this is what you're feeling. I know this is what you're going through. But if you trust the process and you keep on following these steps, it's going to work in the end. So it was a lot of, I think, faith on my part and you guys, just because I've seen what you guys have built, from you and from like Joe Reese, like all the coaches. So I think it was a lot of like, I know what you guys are doing, or I have faith that you guys know what you're doing, so I'm gonna trust the process at that point. And then, there was obviously like low days where I'm like, dude, like I'm getting 3, 4 likes on this reel that I just spent like the last 2 hours on because I'm using CapCut for the first time.
Yep, I get it.
But just like building off of, just everything every day, and you just got to keep pushing. Like I always tell myself, if I don't quit, I'm not going to lose. So I never quit.
And
I just keep
and
moving forward.
back to my original point is just like I think the reason you were able to do that is because you had confidence in yourself first and your ability and like what you were good at
Right.
before we ever gave you any certain strategy or whatever. And we conversely had confidence in you because you were an expert, right? Like you were just very good at what you
Right.
do.
And I think it helped because I'd volunteered a few years at a hospital in high school. I worked as a tech throughout college, and then, that was in my career. So I may only be 2, 3 years into like the nursing field, but, as far as like a hospital setting goes and, dealing with those sort of situations and being an expert in that fact, I have 8, 9 years. Um, and I've been lifting since, baseball in seventh and eighth grade all the way up until now. And there's been highs and lows in my life when it comes to that too. But again, if you don't quit, you're not going to lose.
100%. So what do you think is the biggest part of your transformation from before you worked with us to after? Like, what's your biggest takeaway and thing that you got out of like our relationship?
I think the fact that whatever you think is possible, 10x it.
Okay. And why is that?
Whatever, like, because before working with you, I never thought ever that I would have more than, a couple hundred followers. And here I am making my way to 40K. And never in 100 years did I think that I was actually going to be able to make $1 doing something that I enjoyed online, and
Mhm.
have the ability to, think about, a few years down the line that I could actually physically leave the bedside and do this full time.
What do you think? What do you think the ex-girlfriend thinks of
Honestly, I
she
don't
was,
really
she was the
I
I know, I just think it's funny. Because she caused us to like meet, basically. I think it's funny. Now you're at 40K.
hey, game's the game, baby.
Um, talk to me about like what's the growth look like? You said 40K on IG. Are you on TikTok too? And I don't know if you're on another platform. And then additionally, I'm curious, and like, what does the money look like right now?
So as far as TikTok goes, I was doing TikTok for a while, and honestly, this is probably something I should talk to with you about a little while ago. But when I was still at like my old hospital, they had made me take down like a bunch of videos that did 3, 400, 500K. And like I have not hit the algo in TikTok since. So like I don't know if like from that aspect I should just start a whole new page because like I have the content that I could just throw up easy.
We'll chat about that after. We'll figure that out.
But as far as Instagram goes, first 6 months, like I said, like I've posted every day consistently for the last year and a half. I think I have almost 500 posts on my page, and I think I deleted the first 140. So, I've been brutally consistent with the content, for a while at this point. Um, and it was a lot of, figuring out what kind of content and what resonated with specifically healthcare workers. And it was very difficult to, find my way into that sort of like super specific niche of I'm in healthcare. I like to live a healthy lifestyle, or I want to live a healthy lifestyle, and I want to exercise and do all this other stuff. Like, I feel like that's a very small portion of people in healthcare. And, just through brutal consistency, I was finally able to tap into that. And once I did that, I exploded. I think I gained 20 or 30,000 followers within like a month early on this year. Um, so that's kind of, I don't know. I don't really remember.
And what does the money look like right now? I know you've been selling some things. There's some brand deals, stuff like that. We're gearing up to launch
This
this.
is also another part of the whole, whatever I think I can do, 10x that shit, because I never thought in a million years that I'd have brands reaching out to me, wanting to pay me for free stuff that they're gonna send me. Like the fact, like Peloton sent me probably $600 or $800 worth of shit probably a month ago, and like I don't even have Peloton, but like now I gotta like it. That's insane to me. So like I've probably made like just this year alone, I think it's 2,200 off of brand deals. It's been, I think, close to five off of coaching, and then I'll have those ebooks coming out. So fall, I should be breaking five figures.
A month.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nice. Super close, bro. It's super close. How does that make you feel? Like, how do you feel about that? You feel good about it? You feel bad about it?
Beyond excited. Beyond excited because of the fact. So, like, if I'm going to be completely honest during this thing, up until probably February this year, like, what the thing that I've struggled with my coaching, because like originally when I started, like everything was all over the place. It was kind of a dog shit process that I had come up with, and it was difficult for me to be on this side of things, because I'd always been, the one doing the workouts, the one creating it for myself, and kind of doing this sort of thing. So it was just a different perspective with me being on the other side, working with, certain individuals. But it was difficult for me at first to kind of build my process out for the way that I like to do, my style of coaching, and to try and figure out how to cater to all of the other healthcare workers too, because at the end of the day, it's not just, nutrition and exercise that we're talking about when it comes to this, because a lot of it is stress management, balancing your time, balancing like your work life balance and all that other stuff. So once I got that process down, like probably around February of this year, everything's been a lot more consistent, a lot better, on both ends of things as well.
Awesome, bro. And I got two final questions. What was your favorite thing about the process, our process working with us, and what was your least favorite?
I think my favorite part of the process was probably the very beginning when you had me fill the docs out, and when you guys gave me the, sample content. Because up until that point, I had the idea, but I didn't know anything about the idea beyond that. I had a picture in my head, but I didn't know what it was going to look like or how I was going to get there. Um, I had stories, that go back a few years, but how did that affect me and how did that get me to where I am today? And it was just helpful to see all of those things connected over the years for me. And it was helpful to get all of that stuff out on paper as well because I'm a very visual person. So just be able to see, one, this is how your content should look. We're going to take this, we're going to fix this, and breaking that